All right, poggers. Hey everybody, welcome to another GG WoW video. I'm Dratnos, joined by Team Ambition, and today we're going to talk about some of the Dragonflight features, give our thoughts, and kind of a thumbs up or thumbs down on some of them. I want to start off, Ellesmere, with you as our resident healer. What do you think about what you've seen of the new Evoker, the Drakthir Evoker race class so far? How do you like the idea of adding a new healer to the mix?
I think it looks amazing. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And I just think that healers have gotten a little stagnant in terms of like our options. And I'm hoping that the new healer class brings some sort of essential utility to raid the same way that Paladin and Priest have been so essential to raid. So that we just get like more options to bring to raid and don't just have to stick to the same two every tier. So it'd be cool to see the healer bring some DR or some damage. The way that I see it right now, class design wise, like it looks like it's going to do damage, which obviously is super appealing to me. And I don't know, I love the like animations and the idea of being able to like fly across the battlefield, you know, breathing fire. It looks sick and I'm super excited.
Yeah, I'm sure all the cool abilities will go to the DPS spec, though, of course.
Yes.
True, yeah. Now, I'm hoping that those cool abilities will be class-wide, but yeah, I guess we will see.
What do you guys all think about the... I know they haven't obviously told us too much about the Evoker, but one of the like core mechanics is that you charge up your spell, right? So it's like you hold the button down, and if you hold it down for like 1 second, it does more, and if you hold it down for 2 seconds, it does even more. How does that like style of ability sound? Anybody have a positive or negative reaction to that, knee jerk?
I think it's cool, but I do worry, like based on the demo, that it could be like too easy. Like it looks like it's just like an all or nothing type of thing where if you're in the zone, you get the bonus, and if you're not in the zone, you don't get the bonus. And I feel like it would be better if it were a continuum, and so like the closer you got to the perfect center, like the sweet spot, the more it would do. So that way there'd be like a little bit more of a skill cap to it, but I'm sure it'd be fine either way.
Yeah, I'm hopeful that there's some like interesting gameplay to it. All right, one of the other things coming up in Dragonflight, of course, sort of a bit more abstract, is just the general like setting, the vibe, going back to Azeroth, having like land and not like floating islands in the cosmos. Are any of you people that have been involved on either side of like the debate of like going to less of a cosmic threat, more of a kind of grounded expansion? I know a lot of people in the community are pretty excited about kind of notching it down a little bit for an expansion.
I mean, personally, the like release trailer gave me like mop vibes. Like, yeah, the way it looks, like I don't know, I kind of like that more than what we've recently got personally.
Yeah, it's kind of
gotten... seems like a lot of the old dragons will be popping back up, and we'll be hyping them again. Should be fun.
The whole intro looked like Jade Forest to me. It's cool.
Yeah, I got those vibes too.
Mm-hmm.
It's just been somewhat exhausting. Always like every expansion getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So I think it's going to be really nice to kind of step back for a minute and go back to WoW's core and roots of, like Billy was saying, that like Mists of Pandaria vibe. A lot more chill, a lot more relaxed, and more about the world and exploration, and less about fighting the biggest, baddest dude in the cosmos.
Is it really gonna be about the world though? Like, unless like they actually use the rest of the area. I know they're gonna use Alderman. They're gonna go there at one point, but like I imagine most of it's just gonna take Dragonflight.
Well, it's about dragons, and dragons come from the world, so it's about the world. Checkmate, nerf.
Boom.
Well, I don't know. Mop started off being about like the Mogu and stuff, and then by the end there was an old god, and we had to depose the ruler of the horde. So a lot can change between 10.0 and 10.3.
What about 10.4?
That's a good point. Yeah, 10.4. Maybe we get back to 0.4s. I think the first time since Mop, right?
0.4s, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. To me, it feels sort of like, how they do the item level squishes? It feels sort of like a epicness squish, right? A size of the threat squish, which I do think the game needed. But at the end of the day, I don't know. I kind of don't care as much about that as long as the raids and dungeons are good. Speaking of the dungeons, one thing they've announced is that M+, they're trying some new stuff with it, which is in Season 1 of Dragonflight M+, there are still 8 Dragonflight dungeons on release, right? They're still all available on normal heroic M0, but only 4 of them are in M+, and the other 4 M+ dungeons are coming from before BFA. So maybe Legion, maybe WoD, maybe MOP. They've expressed a lot of interest in kind of bringing the MOP ones into this pool. And so it'll be like 8 dungeons in Season 1, but half of them are like refurbished old ones, and half of them are the new ones. And then when we get to season 2, it'll be the other half of the new ones. How's everybody feel about this this idea?
I'm not a fan of it personally, at least for the first season.
I think it'd be nice for players that didn't play back then. Like, I don't know, I've always heard that Mop Challenge mode dungeons are always kind of fun. So if they bring back some of those, might be interesting for players who've never seen it before, like myself.
I don't think anyone thinks that doing that is a bad idea. At least I definitely don't. I think it's a really good idea, and I think it's something that a lot of people have wanted for a while. You know, mixing in old dungeons with new dungeon pools and creating seasons out of that and reusing old content, especially for people that never got to experience, like Wenzi was saying. I would have to agree with the nerf, though, that I think that's something for season 2 and season 3, maybe even season 4. But season 1, it's not going to feel great only getting half of the new items from dungeons to play with, half of the new experiences from dungeon. And another issue you're going to have is that, like, if you remember season 1 of pretty much any expansion, the dungeons require a lot of tuning on M+, because, you know, they just haven't gone through enough testing or whatever it might be. They go through major iterations in the first season. And, you know, if you do it like this, you're going to be dealing with dungeons that are not properly tuned throughout the first, you know, year and a half of the expansion, which is not going to feel great.
Yeah, I'm kind of inclined to agree. I do think season 1, it makes slightly more sense to have just the Dragonflight ones. I think it's so good, though, that they're like iterating on this and like trying to shake up M+. So I'm kind of willing to give it a try. But yeah. Yeah,
the fact that they're even considering it is, or that they're planning on doing it, is a great thing. And something that we've, you know, a lot of people have really wanted for a while. So I'm excited about it. I wish the season 1 we just got to experience the new dungeons.
Yeah,
but,
just like gorge ourselves on new content. Yeah. All right. Another kind of popular talking point in the community, the borrowed power discussion. We do know there are going to be tier sets because we've already seen the beautiful new tier sets, like concept art. But we know that there's pretty much no other expansion level borrowed power systems from what they've said so far. Does anybody here a borrowed power apologist or a borrowed power hater excited to move to a bit more of a long-term character growth model?
I don't care about any of that. All I'm going to say is the Catalyst creation owns.
Yeah.
I hope they bring that back. I hope they keep something like that in Dragonflight. That thing is just so good.
The talent system is essentially the borrowed power, right?
Yeah, except it persists in next expansion,
right? Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I think that's great.
Yeah.
But is the talent system, you're not going to be getting more talents past, like, once you hit level cap, right?
I don't think so. No, I'm not sure. I think it's level based, although
yeah,
you say that, I guess that would be a way we could power up over the expansion, but that would make it much harder to scale it into the next expansion, right?
Yeah, that's true. I have my concerns with certain specs or classes. Some specs and classes, especially coming from a Holy Paladin main, have historically relied on borrowed power much more heavily than other classes have. Even just in terms of like class playstyle and everything. Holy Paladin's pretty simplistic in its core, and a lot of the nuance historically has come from borrowed power, and a lot of its strength has come from borrowed power. And so I'm a little concerned about specs like that. I'm sure there are plenty of others, and how they're going to tune those without borrowed power, without, you know, losing the spec too much strength and nuance.
Yeah, I mean, there are still tier sets, right, that they can use to give specs like a 15% bump or 5%
Yeah, that's
bump.
true.
But it is true that like systems like Glimmer or whatever that were originally borrowed power, but those can go into the talent tree, I guess.
It would be interesting to see what they include in the talent tree. I hope they bring back a lot of the things that people liked in previous borrowed power systems. You know, like I saw Convoke for druids on the talent tree. I hope, you know, paladins get something similar, like we get Divine Toll or something. It would be cool to see everyone's favorite, you know, Covenant abilities or even previous expansion borrowed powers come back into the talent tree. So I'm hoping to see some of that.
Yeah, if you think about it, like Legion, BFA, Shadowlands have all had these systems where like different specs have gotten very interesting effects, right? Like Shrouded Suffocation, Azerite trait, you know, different artifact powers. And then also the Shadowlands system. So kind of a greatest hits filling out the talent tree could be really, really fun. All right, last item on the Dragonflight agenda is the professions overhaul. I don't know about you guys. As an M+ player, it feels to me like I'm kind of just shackled to the engineering profession, and I don't really get to play with the system. So my biggest hope for this is that they like make the NG res at least not require engineering to use.
Yeah. Also, I think the flasks is a little OP too. Like every raider is like engineering alchemy, and there's like no one's anything different, right? Like,
you get twice as long on your flasks if you're alch. Yeah.
Like I remember in BFA, like I was actually tailoring because you made some crazy sick loot. But
Yeah,
not
I
anymore.
hope,
I hope they go back to that. I just hope the loot can be like good that you make for them. Because right now professions aren't really anything. You kind of just go in the auction house and buy 262, and then that's the profession system. I feel like at least.
Yeah, I mean, they used to have power locked behind professions, but the people actually like that. Like,
Yes.
for example, like your best profession was being jewel crafting, just so like you can craft your best in slot rings or
They can
whatever.
craft Deep Thunder as a blacksmith.
I mean, BFA, you pretty much.
I didn't really care for
gear.
it, but yeah, I mean, people like it.
Yeah, you got to craft like what, one mythic piece per
Yeah, and it was like
profession?
really good, and I used it like the whole expansion.
It sounds like in Dragonflight they want to make this sort of work order system where the expulsum, the bind on pickup reagents, you can have a crafter craft an item for you using your like bop materials, and that makes it so that you can kind of get this best of both worlds where you can have this BIS blacksmithing axe created for you without needing to be a blacksmith, without needing to use the blacksmith's like expulsum. So I could see this being really good for this. I just hope it's not a case of like half of our gear that we're wearing is from different professions. I hope it's like I like the way in Shadowlands where it's like unique equipped, like one profession item, maybe two.
Some people love the game just for its profession, so I think it'll be a great addition for them.
I hope so as well. I really like the idea of bringing it back to something other than like just everybody's alchemy engineering, because it's the only ones that do anything anymore.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, well, that's all I have on my list for Dragonflight. I don't know if I've missed anything from the various interviews or announcements that anybody wants to get on a soapbox about. Now's your chance.
How does the flying work? Is it only with dragons, like at the start?
Dragon riding.
Yeah, dragon riding. Okay, let's talk about that. Yeah, so it looks like it's like no regular flying in the Dragon Isles, at least at the start. Dragon flying that you like learn as you level up and you get better at it. And
That sounds kind of cool.
Yeah, I'm a little bit
It did
worried
say
that it'll
it's
just feel like
outwide, too, at
nerfed
least.
flying.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
The fact that they said that you can unlock regular flying later on leads me to believe that this has to be an inferior form of flying. Otherwise, you would
Why
be
would you
happy
want
to.
regular flying?
Yeah, right. Exactly. So I feel like they should dragon riding should complement your regular flying. Like you should be able to go like 700% mount speed or something with dragon riding.
Yeah,
Then
that'd be so.
yeah.
Like if you played it right, where you got
have
the
to
good
teach your
altitude.
dragon how to
Yeah.
fly.
Yeah, I think
Check
I've
out
seen a
Lost Time
documentary
movie.
about that.
How to Train Your Dragon, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look that one up again.
Like I'm cautiously optimistic. I hope it'll be fun. But if it does just feel like nerfed flying, I'm gonna be I don't know. Like we kind of get nerfed flying every few patches, right? Where it's just like, oh, you can fly here, but there's these giant worms that zap you if you fly close to them. So it's
Yeah, but it's gonna be some form of flying, right? At least instead of just no form of flying until like later.
yeah. And that I don't know. If it's fun, then I'm down.
I think the idea is to create like a compromise, because the whole concept behind not flying at the start of an expansion is they want to immerse you in the world. And it is true that like when you get flying on questing, you don't really, I don't know, it's for me personally at least, I just fly from point A to point B over everything and just go straight to the quest reward and shit. Like I don't know. I don't spend nearly as much time actually getting immersed in the world, which I think is a big deal for a lot of players. I don't know. Maybe it's not good that they force that, but I think that's at least the concept behind why they limit flying towards the start of every patch and every new zone that they add. So I think this is kind of like their compromise where like, you'll still get some form of flying, but they don't want you to just be able to fly past all the new zones or fly straight through them and go, straight from point A to point B with no danger or no exploration.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think like if it's a kind of flying where you have to like look at the terrain to figure out how you're gonna fly, and that way you sort of get to still experience the zone, that could be a really good compromise. All right, well, that's gonna be it for our look at the Dragonflight features. Let us know in the comments what you think about all these things, and be sure to subscribe and stuff to catch the next video. Later, everybody. Okay, GG.
GG.
GG's.
GG.
GG. Have good keys, gamers.
Thank you. Have a good day.